Final score predictions from ESPN's analysts concerning Tennessee and FAU. Most seem to think that Tennessee will win in that 5-10 range. And I tend to think so as well, although I'm closer to 10 than not. So before we get to the Alabama discussion about wrong place, wrong time, and apparently their basketball coach and Nick Saban see things very differently, their ongoing gun issue. But your thoughts on this FAU matchup as the Lane Kiffin Classic is in full effect this week?
I say watch out. This is not like the Louisiana underdog. Florida Atlantic is top 10 in 3 points made, top 10 in 3 points attempted. They're number 52 in 3-point percentage, but that's still really good because you guys forget there's like 300 and something teams in college basketball. Here's the big part about Florida Atlantic. We talk about Tennessee's depth. Florida Atlantic goes 9 deep. They've got 9 players averaging over 15 minutes a game. Their starting lineup, they have 4 3-point shooters and 1 7-footer underneath the basket. So they actually out-rebound opponents pretty well, too. They actually are top 20 in total rebounds per game. So this is a team that can rebound the ball. They shoot well from 3. They can be red hot, and they're deep. That's dangerous. You see why they won the Conference USA tournament. They're 33-3. They needed a lot of luck to beat Memphis, and Memphis blew that game. But that was a Memphis team that had just beaten Houston, who was the number 1 team in the nation when Memphis beat them. So that wasn't like that was a bad team. And you can talk about how they didn't put away Fairleigh Dickinson until the end. And I can't believe Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue. But Fairleigh Dickinson did beat Purdue. And I can't believe Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue, gave Florida Atlantic a fight when, I don't know if you guys know this, they're in the tournament by default. They didn't win their conference. The team that won their conference was not eligible for the tournament this year. And so I just have to say, watch out for Florida Atlantic. This is, I'm assuming Ron Slay's coming on tomorrow, and when we talk with him, he's going to be able to break it down a little more. This is not as favorable of a matchup for Tennessee as Louisiana was, and I don't think Tennessee can afford to look ahead to playing Tom Izzo the way I think they did look ahead to playing Duke when they faced Louisiana.
Gosh, I hate to say it, but I mentioned this yesterday. It would be such the Tennessee thing to do to get to this point, and you can get to the Elite Eight for the second straight time and not make it. I mean, that would be a Tennessee thing to do, a Tennessee basketball, thing to do. So that would let just a ton of people down. Have you seen the spread on this game? Because I think it's funny that sometimes you have like a 10 versus a 7 seed, but actually the 10 is the favorite according to Vegas that builds big, huge, monstrous buildings. So what's the spread you've seen on this?
Yeah, that's another concerning sign for you guys. Vegas is not as high on Tennessee. It's 5.5 for Tennessee, which I thought it would be closer to 10 than 5, if I'm being honest with you. And we talked about this with Duke last week, where keeping it at 2.5 signaled that Vegas knew something. Maybe they know something with Florida Atlantic.
Or maybe they're just playing the side that Tennessee's a defensive team and they're going to allow people to stay in it. Just surface logical. I mean, I always worry that Vegas knows something too. Don't get me wrong. This one seems a little bit more simple. I thought Duke, again, I said this and maybe I'm stupid, but I thought they would be a 5 to 6 point favorite. I'm not surprised that Tennessee is just a 5 with the way they play defense. To me, it's the same thing as Tennessee's football team. If you think they're 7-point favorites over Team X, you probably boost that up to 13 or 14 because they score so many points. So in reverse, I think it's a lot like this. If you think Tennessee's basketball team is 8-9 points than FAU, you probably trim a little bit of that because they're not going to have it as many possessions and they like to dictate the pace of play. Smoky Mountain Red said, I have a feeling it could be a blowout from either side. Possibly. A blowout from Tennessee would be huge heading deeper into the tournament. If FAU blows Tennessee out, man, all those good feelings about Duke are gone because you lost FAU, essentially a directional school. You lost a Lane Kiffin school. Yeah, Tennessee doesn't want to go out there and get blown out on Thursday. That would be pretty tough to swallow.
Yeah, you're right. And FAU they have clearly taken on the identity of the culture that Lane Kiffin brought. For their coach to say we have to prepare for Australian rugby to play Tennessee, which he said, that's something Lane Kiffin would have said. Someone on Twitter said, watch, they're going to bring a statue of Lane Kiffin to this game just to troll Tennessee at that point. I mean, I think that they are, which I don't blame them. You're a small directional school in Florida. Why not? Why not do something like that? That's what Danny White did with UCF. He would troll. Remember, he hung a national championship banner when UCF went undefeated.
How about a Lane Kiffin commemorative bottles of mustard or golf balls? They should be giving something away, right? But it's in New York City. That might be tough to find a street corner that you could give stuff away. That's a little bit more difficult to find in the street corner in Boca. My last name's Hooker. I'm very good at finding street corners.
Oh my gosh. That's a great one. Another connection. I just thought about this. I think Brian White is Danny White's brother. Isn't he the athletic director at Florida Atlantic?
I'm going to have to take your word on this. I had to look up when Danny White was first hired by Tennessee and make sure that he wasn't the former quarterback of the Cowboys in the 80s that did nothing. So,
okay. So,
is Brian White related? Do we have a tie here?
Yes. Danny White's older brother, Brian, is the athletic director for Florida Atlantic. His brother is Mike White, who's now coaching Georgia. And his sister is Mariah Chappell, and she's the assistant athletic director for SMU. But it is the White Bowl, which that sounds so racist. I shouldn't say that, but
that's terrible. So what is the okay? So how long has he been in the FAU?
I'm not sure actually. I need to look this up. But
I mean, is there a Kiffin tie there?
Let's see. He's been there since 2018. March 3rd, 2018 was when he was hired by FAU. So it was after Kiffin was hired.
So he was a part of the group that hired Kiffin to FAU?
No. Kiffin was hired.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought you meant. All right. I was just wondering, if Josh Heupel ever goes to the NFL, does Josh Heupel pick up the call and say, hey, bro, what about that Lane cat? What you think of him? Still a part of me that would like for that to happen.
Well, Brian's signature hire was the coach of Florida Atlantic, the current coach, Dusty May. He hired him within a month of being hired at Florida Atlantic. So this is his investment right here.